we continue the Monday edition of the SportsMax Zone with more cricket, with most focusing on the Border Gavaskar Test series between Australia and India. The cricket world was awakened on Sunday by news that number 3 ranked South Africa became the first team to qualify for next year's World Test Championship final after defeating Pakistan by 2 wickets in the first of their 2 tests in Centurion, sparking criticisms of the format in the ICC competition. Now, according to the International Cricket Council, teams are ranked by the percentage of points won, with 12 points for a win, 6 for a tie, and 4 for a draw. The top 2 teams advance to the final. The Proteas are atop the table with 88 points from 11 matches played in the 2023-25 cycle, with a percentage of 66.67. Australia are in pole position for the other final spot with 61.46 percentage ahead of India at 52.78. Now, with critics lashing out at South Africa not playing the top teams in the world to earn their spot in the WTC final, coach Shukri Conrad says the focus was not on reaching the Lord's showpiece, but just winning cricket matches.
No, I didn't think that. But you also look at especially not with what happened in January, February earlier this year. But you also look at the schedule and you think, well, if we had a chance, this is probably a chance that we've got, because, and I think people abroad will be shouting, well, they had an easy draw, etc., etc. I'm certainly not going to sit here and apologize for that. But you fancy your chances if you played well. But yeah, we took it one series at a time. I think the BBP only got real when we came back after Bangladesh, and we thought, well, yeah, we've got a real chance.
Yeah, so the South Africans are struggling for a chase of 148 runs to win that test match. They almost lost it, but they came up with a victory that has sent them through to the WTC final. Fazir Mohammed, the brilliant one, is still with us for this discussion. Faz, is the ICC World Test Championship format flawed?
Of course it's flawed. But everything about cricket is flawed. The structure of the game is flawed. Maybe the control room can show that table once again. But I would ask anyone in any global sport that allegedly has everyone treated equally. Where would you see a table like that? Where one nation plays twice as many matches as the other, where you have such a vast disparity in the number of matches played. Hence, you have to use percentages. You can't do it by points, because if it were by points, it's Australia, India, followed with England tying with India. But again, it shows the uneven playing field that is international cricket. So maybe it's appropriate that South Africa, it's not their fault that they didn't have to play Australia. It's not their fault that they didn't have to play England, who, by the way, have lost almost 50% of their matches. It is the weakness of the structure of the international game, where there's no flexibility for an Ashes series. There's no flexibility for India versus Australia or England versus India. There must be 5 test series, and everyone else is battling for the scraps. So if you have that situation, you're going to use percentages. It's being wise after the fact to come now to say that South Africa don't deserve their place. Of course they deserve their place in the final.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Faz, and we looked at the fact that the England team had played by far most matches in the cycle, and we noted that of all previous World Test Championship cycles, the team that played the most matches never ever got to the final.
Well, again, Lance, cricket is rooted in discrimination and privilege. That's the history of the game. And people who want to challenge it, if we have the time at any time, we can discuss it. That's what it's about. That's why you have 3 test-playing nations, Zimbabwe, Afghanistan, who are playing right now in Zimbabwe, and Ireland, who are considered unworthy of being in the World Test Championships. And I can assure you, most of our listeners and viewers right now are saying they're right. They don't deserve to be there. But then why give them test status? Again, it's because of this haves and have-nots culture that has been with us since the game of cricket. And that's why you have this this table, and I think it's nice that we have a final because there's an eagerness, there's a showpiece occasion, but it's so unbalanced. It's so inequitable. It doesn't really make a lot of sporting sense. It makes cricketing sense because cricket in many ways doesn't make a lot of sense, but it doesn't make sporting sense in terms of a fair competition right across the board.
Yeah, and you touched on it just now, Faz, because the World Test Championship was designed to inject some excitement and some attractiveness to the format of the game. So the concept of having a World Test Championship was one that was embraced by most, but you're suggesting that the way it has been executed is not having the effect it should.
Well, again, I was very skeptical about the idea of a World Test Championship, but I'll be the first to say I was wrong. Because look at, I disagree with Shukri Conrad, because I could have sensed from watching those final moments in that game at Centurion that it was all about not just winning, but getting to the World Test final. And yeah, it is a big occasion now. So credit to the ICC because they dispensed with the Super Series in 2005 with the top team playing the rest of the world because that never made any sense. It didn't take off in any way. But because the test match cricket is so unwieldy, 5 days, 2 test series, 3 test series, 4 test series, 5 test series, and with T20s packed all over the place, you can't fit in and everyone plays everyone in a 2-year cycle. That's logistically impossible. So we have this unbalanced situation that has people now griping about South Africa being in the final without playing England or Australia. But I say again, it's not the fault of South Africa. It's the fault of the inherent imbalances and unfairness in the international game.
Yeah, because if you look at the quality of the South African team, you would have to feel that on performance, I don't think they have gone into this final, I don't want to say not deserving it because they did what was necessary based on the format. But, you know, they almost lost that match, Faz. They were set just 148 to win, and the veteran Mohamed Abbas picked up 6 for 54, and it was very nervy for the South Africans in that run chase.
Yes, it was 99 for 8. You thought it was all over, that
Yes.
Pakistan were going to pull it off. But I think South Africa have been very shrewd about this. Remember, earlier in the year, and Shukri Conrad alluded to it, they went to New Zealand with virtually a third string team because all of their top players were playing the South African T20, which is where the money is. But they knew what was coming the rest of the year, and they fancied their chances, especially with their bowling. If you look at their batting lance, it's poor. There's only one player, Tristan Stubbs, averaging over 40. It's marginally better than the West Indies batting lineup. But again, they've watched the structure, say, look, this is what they've given us. It's not our fault. Let's take advantage of it because they've got world-class bowling, and that world-class bowling, even with that 9th wicket partnership, has been a significant reason they are in the final in June.
Yeah. Do you think their bowling attack is better than the Australian bowling attack?
I think it's on par because you've got a good balance, you've got a lot of variety. I think what the Aussies have is greater experience because they play a lot more cricket, and that brings us back to the point of the imbalance. South Africa don't play nearly as much international cricket as Australia, India, and England, which is why some of their players will need some more time to really get into the tune of Test match cricket. But I think they've got a world-class bowling attack.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% there, Faz. As usual, always great talking cricket with you, sir. And we have more to discuss, of course, because heading into the new year, there'll be a lot of topical issues that we've got to sift through here on the SportsMax Zone. But for now, enjoy the rest of the year, Faz. And we look forward to seeing you again in the new year. Thanks, man.
All the best to you and yours, to Ricardo, to the entire team. And indeed, let's look forward to an interesting 2025, God's willing.
Okay, great. Fazir Mohammed there. Back with more on the SportsMax Zone after the break.